Daniel worked 31 years without ever taking more than 10 days off at a time. He was reliable, predictable, the person managers trusted with big projects because he never disappeared and never slowed down. He showed up early. He stayed late. He invested consistently. Every year, he increased his retirement contributions. Every year, he declined something fun. He declined the backpacking trip through South America at 33 because now isn't the right time. He declined a year abroad opportunity at 38 because it would interrupt momentum. He declined learning to dive at 42 because it felt irresponsible. He had a model in his head: work hard, accumulate, retire at 66, then live. At 66, he would have $2.4 million. He calculated it down to the dollar. He would spend the first year traveling through coastal towns. He would learn scuba diving. He would finally write the novel he had been outlining in the Notes app for 15 years. He would wake up without alarms. He would reclaim time. At 61, Daniel was diagnosed with a degenerative spinal condition. It wasn't catastrophic. It was gradual. Pain that never fully leaves. Limited flexibility. Reduced endurance. Long flights became exhausting. Carrying luggage hurt. Sitting too long hurt. Standing too long hurt. He kept working because that's what he knew how to do. He retired at 66 with $2.4 million. He can travel, but only in short segments. He can walk, but not far. He can swim, but not dive. He can sit on beaches, but not explore reefs. The novel is still in his Notes app. Daniel did everything right. He is deeply unsatisfied. My name is Ryan, and I have spent years thinking about the silent assumption baked into traditional retirement planning. The assumption is that your future self will have both time and capacity. That at 65 or 67, you will not only be financially free, but physically capable and mentally ambitious. That assumption is fragile. According to research from the National Institute on Aging, measurable physical capacity, strength, lung function, recovery speed, peaks in early adulthood and declines steadily after the mid-30s. The decline is not dramatic year to year, but over decades it compounds. By your mid-60s, average aerobic capacity can be 30 to 40% lower than at peak. Muscle mass significantly reduced. Recovery slower. Risk tolerance lower. And data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows that the majority of adults over 65 live with at least one chronic health condition that limits activity. That means the version of you at retirement is statistically weaker, slower, and more constrained than the version of you at 35. Daniel wanted to dive coral reefs. At 35, he could have learned in a few weeks and spent months exploring. At 66, with spinal degeneration and limited mobility, it's medically discouraged. The dream does not negotiate with the body. The body simply reduces the dream. Now let's talk about the numbers, because this is where most people stop listening. Daniel earned an average of $92,000 per year across his career. If he had taken a 6-month break every 6 years starting at 30, he would have taken 5 breaks before 60. That's 2.5 total years away from work. 2.5 years of unpaid time equals roughly $230,000 in gross income not earned. That sounds huge, but here's the part that changes everything. Because of compound growth dynamics, the majority of retirement account growth happens in the final 10 to 12 years. Reducing contributions earlier does not reduce the final balance proportionally. If Daniel had worked 28.5 years instead of 31, his projected retirement balance would have been closer to $2.1 million instead of $2.4 million. He traded $300,000 at 66 for 30 months of prime physical decades. Think about that clearly. He exchanged 30 months of being 32, 38, 44, 50 years old, strong, mobile, adventurous, for $300,000 at an age when his body cannot fully capitalize on it. Is that rational? Money compounds upward. Energy compounds downward. And the system pushes you toward optimizing only the upward curve. Employers benefit from uninterrupted productivity. Financial institutions benefit from uninterrupted asset accumulation. Retirement calculators assume uninterrupted careers. There is no calculator that measures unused physical capacity. There is no index fund that captures experiences you can only have before 45. The system calls uninterrupted work discipline. But discipline toward what variable? Maximum net worth at death? Or maximum life quality across decades? Here's the alternative model. Instead of one large retirement at the end, you build multiple intentional recovery and exploration phases across your life. Not reckless quitting, not blowing money. Structured intervals. Call it staged freedom. Step 1. Calculate a 6-month baseline living cost in a lower-cost environment. If you can live on $2,500 per month somewhere strategic, you need $15,000 for half a year. Step 2. Create a parallel fund separate from retirement. If you save an extra $3,000 per year, in 5 years you have $15,000. Step 3. Decide now what that interval is for. Not travel, not rest, something concrete. A through hike, a sailing certification, a language immersion, a cycling route across a country. Specific goals convert abstract saving into purposeful action. Step 4. Accept that your career will not be perfectly linear. You may negotiate unpaid leave. You may leave and re-enter. The fear of resume gaps is often larger than the actual penalty. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people say they cannot afford this, but they are already allocating 100% of their flexibility toward a future self that may not exist in usable form. You are already making a gamble. You are gambling that your health will cooperate, your motivation will remain high, your relationships will still align, your energy will still be abundant. Statistics suggest otherwise. Nearly half of retirees leave earlier than planned due to health constraints. Many who reach retirement age discover their capacity is narrower than imagined. Daniel has financial security. He does not have optionality in the way he expected. A different version of Daniel retires with $300,000 less and 30 months of physically intense, memory-dense life from decades when his body was capable. Which version accumulated more actual wealth? The spreadsheet says one thing. The lived experience says another. Traditional retirement planning optimizes for accumulation. A redesigned life optimizes for allocation of energy across time. You can continue postponing the physically demanding parts of life to an age when they become logistically and biologically harder. Or you can redistribute some of your strongest years back into your present. You cannot store unused stamina for later. You cannot invest unused vitality. You cannot compound deferred youth. Daniel cannot rewind to 35. You still have years where your body works without negotiation. The question is not whether you should save for retirement. You should. The question is whether retirement is the only time you plan to live fully. Because if your entire life enjoyment is scheduled for a single decade at the end, you are making a concentrated bet with declining biological assets. A smaller portfolio and a larger memory bank might be the more rational allocation. You do not need to abandon the future. You need to stop sacrificing the present entirely to protect it. The system rewards uninterrupted work. Life rewards well-timed pauses. Choose carefully which reward you value more. I'll see you in the next one.